Welcome to a new episode of Tiny Box Dialogues, where we share real examples from real people with real stories. Now, today we have joining us Birgit Strobel, who has over 25 years of entrepreneurial experience, is a multiple business founder who leads strategy and transformation. But at the core of her work now is vision development, growth strategy, and executive coaching. There's much debate as to what creates success. As you know, Birgit, lots of people are looking for the silver bullet or a quick win. But I'm really looking forward to you sharing with us what it actually takes to create success for leaders and businesses in this session. But as Laura would always say, backstory is crucial. So why don't we start there? And you can share your backstory with us.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Rash and Laura, for having me here. So my backstory, well, I originally come from marketing and various management positions, and have always introduced products to the market that did not exist before. And well, in 1998, in the very early phase of the internet, I founded Immobilien Scout 24 together with 3 partners. Well, from a strong vision, we built the largest marketplace for flats and other real estate, up to 500 employees. And 11 years later, we were bought from the telecom, went out, and I founded a new business with one of the previous partners. This time a tourism portal for the long tail, Holiday Insider. Well, and after 3 successful businesses, I was increasingly asked by entrepreneurs if I could help them grow. So that's how I came to support entrepreneurs to set up their company for the future.
Right.
Well, because I hate mediocrity, I only work with entrepreneurs, which are #1 claim, and help to set up their company strategically and in the organization for growth. Well, and on the other hand, I'm an active business angel and pass on my experience and knowledge to young founders, especially female founders and women in leadership positions. And that's how I got there.
You make it sound like it was no big deal,
So
but you
easy.
founded one of the largest companies in Germany.
I've used it.
And lots of experience behind you. And we will come to the other projects that you have on the go, because this is not your only one. But I want to start with your company brand, because I find your motto is really interesting and I can relate to it, as I love empowering networks. That's part of my credo. So you empower brands and people. What does that mean? Share with us.
Well, I am really passionate about empowering people and organizations to break new ground and overcome challenges with positive energy. So first, I support people to get a clear picture of how they envision their future, what the outcome looks like that they envision. And then my goal is to support them in achieving their goals. So to do this, I help them to get their stuff moving and to encourage them to co-create change in order to overcome demanding challenges together. Amazing. So that's the story behind this claim.
Of the 2 things, one is setting the vision, the goal, where you're going, and the other is actually the journey getting there. I've heard some people say, oh, the journey is more important than the goal. What would you say?
Yeah, that's a nice discussion. So I have a LinkedIn post in the moment, and I had lots of comments on that. So for me, the vision is the path, not the path is the path. So without any vision, you don't have a navigation and an orientation. So you need to know where you want to end up. So, and then you can find the right way or ways to reach that.
I always think of the vision is the greater goal. The goals are actually the little signposts along the way of the journey, right? But you know, that's a great segue into how do you define success? I mean, you've had successful businesses, but what is the definition of success for you?
Oh, yeah, success. It's such a broad word. So, well, I live in Munich and I love the mountains. And it has always delighted me to accompany people to demanding peaks. So for me, success is the feeling of happiness you experience up there. And you feel in every demanding peak you reach. So, and this success only comes from the decision to set out on the path and from determined action until the goal is reached. On the other hand, success also means freedom for me. So when I listen to my intuition and shape my life the way I want to be inside. So, and with that, I have many moments of success. So in my work, my drive is to get people moving, to master challenges, to persevere. I want them to achieve special things full of energy. Mm-hmm. And in companies, that means becoming a market leader and to develop a strong corporate culture.
That definitely is a testament to where you live can influence how you feel. But I've seen your amazing pictures when you talk about a vision. Some of the visions you share from the peaks that you've climbed are also amazing. But I guess we have to discuss for the audience, like, what over the years has been the biggest barrier for the leaders that you've worked with? I mean, you already have the credibility and the integrity. You've already had successful businesses. So with that comes the responsibility to lead others. And I love that you do that. But what's the biggest barrier you've encountered?
Well, very, very often there was no common vision of the future. So probably one founder has a sort of vision, but the colleagues don't have the same. So there was no common vision of the future. And thus there is no orientation for decisions and prioritization. And moreover, the people in the team, they do not know why they do what they do. So they are always busy, but that's not navigated. So I think this is the biggest barrier for leaders, what I recognize.
A common problem in companies, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And I remember when you were telling me about starting the Scout 24 that that I was surprised because it didn't sound like you had a real estate background. And yet you had a very certain goal. You went for the market and the desire to build something really lasting and impactful. And then you didn't, that was enough to make you learn the real estate industry? That's amazing.
Well, to build up Immobilien Scout 24, you don't have to be a real estate specialist. You have to be very close to your clients. And what we saw was a problem in the market. So it was really hard at this time to find a flat. So you have to stand at the where the newspaper came out on Saturday. So in the cities, this was the situation. You waited for the new newspaper and had a look on these all these flats which were in the newspaper, and with really only some small amount of informations. So we wanted to make this market transparent and get rid of this problem. So, and this was our vision, to build up the strongest marketplace. And
you moved fast. When you have that combined vision, you can move quickly. It's impressive. And when you turn this around, what are the kinds of challenges and ways around these challenges to achieve this success? Do you have any specific tools or tricks?
Well, a clear vision of where the company is going is as the starting point. So you need it, yeah. And then a strategy on how this can be achieved. So we had to work on this strategy several times because the market is always in motion. So it's not stuff. So, and furthermore, you need a shared view of bottlenecks and potentials to optimize in the right places, because when you're growing, you often don't see where is a potential inside the organization or in the market, or which bottlenecks are coming up. So here often entrepreneurs have their blind spots, and also we had this. And also you need a strong corporate identity. So what are you standing for, and a unique positioning? I think these are crucial factors for success. So,
right. And when you mention these blind spots, these are something where can you give an example of a blind spot or something? How do you see something you can't see?
oh God, I have lots of examples. So, for example, the culture. So in lots of companies, the culture is not as strong as it should be to grow. And leaders often have an answer why this is the way it is. So they think, well, our people are not innovative, or they don't want to be responsible, but that's not right. So this is a blind spot. So often the problem is that there is no vision or no transparency, and people cannot be responsible for anything. So and then it is needed that someone tells them, here you have a blind spot. The reason is on the other hand. Yeah.
Somebody objective to point it out. Yeah.
I could see that you could be very good at that. I mean that in the sense that you can bring a group together and start to model this type of culture where these decisions can be made together and the responsibility can be shared. Do you see culture as being connected to that vision, or can you have a great culture and still people don't need the vision?
No, it's directly connected. I think the vision is one of the most relevant or the most crucial factors for success. You need the vision and and the transparency, that everyone in the team understands, oh, this is our way. Probably it's hard, but I know it takes some time, and then you can take the team with you, and this brings a stronger culture. So without that, I think you cannot have a strong company culture.
So and I've been told sometimes, working with leaders, the CEOs, founders, often people in a Mittelstand, so mid-sized company, that have been running the company, maybe founded it themselves, or it was founded by a father or uncle, grandfather, and they think vision is fluffy American stuff. Mm-hmm. So is it just me hearing that because I'm the fluffy American showing up and telling them they need vision? What do you think?
Well, I think it depends on what you understand, what a vision is. So some are thinking this is a funky sentence, so just like a claim. What I think is the result, or the thing, what you are aiming for, what you want to build inside or in the market. So what you envision, how your future should look like. And without that, you cannot grow and you cannot build anything. So and I would say they aren't right.
Yeah, they aren't right. So
from the audience,
for the market position, right? Back up on the peak.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in because it's very much about the vision, and we have an audience question with that. While a strong vision and corporate culture are definitely key success factors, my question is, how do you take a company to develop those? What's the methodology or tools you use from your toolbox to do that? other than you, because you're clearly the main tool that is used?
Well, this isn't, that's not only one workshop. So this is a process. Yeah. I have a look on the, on the potentials and on the bottlenecks first. So then you have a common view on your starting point, and then you can work on the vision. So I work on the vision with the owners in several fields. So what can you envision your company stays in the market, in the product, in the internal organization, and also in the working together with partners or clients, something like that. So these 4 fields, and then you work on that, and envision this situation you want to have. So this is the first part of the journey. And the next one is to separate this in milestones. So if it's a vision for the next 5 or 6 years, then we drill it down to milestones, and you can make it really clear for the next 2 years. So what are the main projects or topics for the next year and the second year? And these are the basis for the company goals then. What was the other question? The company culture, or?
It was about the methodology. So the methodology was the main thing. How do you take the company through this transformation? And I know that you're certified as a facilitator of transformational leadership, as well as an entrepreneurial coach, right? So is that why you qualified in both? Is that part of the journey that you've taken? You realize that this transformation requires this tool set?
Well, so I have an expertise in business leadership and transformation. So from my own companies I led, but I wanted to bring also a broad knowledge of tools, to shape this growth and to increase my credibility. So and with these skills, it's possible to support owner manage companies to break new ground and position themselves for sustainable growth in the future. And also bringing their employees along the journey. So I would say I'm not a traditional coach or facilitator. I'm on the one hand a consultant, a facilitator, but also a sparring partner and a team member in some projects, all in one person.
I've heard you talk about a method you use to force some bigger thinking for what the future looks like, and it's not just saying, I've heard this technology is cool, let's see if we can do something with it, but you've forced kind of the what ifs, and it sounds very similar to some of the things that I've worked with scenario planning, where you kind of challenge the CEO. So okay, so you don't do that, and then is that one of the, is that a tool, or just, does that work?
Well, for some people, though, they have their own realities. So strong entrepreneurs, even if they proceed in their company life, so they have lots of blind spots. So you have to be a little bit provocative or something like that, to come behind these blind spots. So,
and it's effective. And then I think you mentioned workshops. Do you do like a whole group workshop as well to develop?
Yes. I can do workshops with 200 people. So then I have some facilitators with me to guide these groups. But for working on a vision, I normally work with the owners or the top management. And in the second round, we involve the leadership teams or the C-level or the second level in the organization to share this vision and work with their perspectives, that they have a common vision. So the management and the leadership team. So the groups are getting bigger and bigger then.
That's actually going to answer a part, I think, of the question that we just got from the audience. How do you ensure business transformation continues after your valuable work with the organization? Who is in charge after you leave? Is it only leadership to drive the change, or do you empower other staff? And I think you kind of answered that question with, I do workshops for 200 people, but would you like to expand on that for the audience, please?
Well, as you already said, my claim is empowering people and brands. So empowerment is really important. I don't want to say anything what they should do. So I work really in an interactive way with my clients and also with the teams, and that they know by themselves how they can reach their goals or their vision they want to reach. So they don't need me for that. They know it by themselves. Yeah? And you have to build the organization in this way that everyone is responsible for some things to reach these goals. So I help them to build this organization, but not how to do this. So they can do this by themselves. And what I do, I make some boxing stops or some proceed meetings just to control or to make them aware that something falls down or is out of their view or something like that. So the pain in the ass, I would say, always.
That's usually my role. I want to ask Laura if you have a final question, because I want to just take a little bit of time with some of your other projects that I think are really significant as well. So Laura, did you have a final request, for example? You're good. Okay. So I do want to ask you, because the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club, but you have a great company called Founders Fight Club, and I imagine you want to talk about that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Founders Fight Club, and then I have one other project I wanted to ask you about, and we'll wrap up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I started with a partner, it's I think 6 years ago, the Founders Fight Club, because we wanted to offer startups a place where they can get fit for founding and growth. And it's really intransparent, where as a founder you can go and get all these informations you need. So before the pandemic, we created and managed startup areas and innovation stages for operators of international industry events and trade shows. And as of 2020, we host Gym Talk. This is a regular virtual event featuring thinkers and actors from innovation, technology, creativity, and the future of work. So, originating in the startup ecosystem, we have created branded events such as the Founders Fight Night, which is situated in a boxing gym in several cities. It's the toughest pitching competition in the universe. And also we have a lean startup e-learning program, which is called PunchOutTech. So as a multiple business founder, probably a little bit successful, so I know the concerns and challenges of entrepreneurs in growth, in human resources issues, in economic factors, and try to help them.
And does that, I mean, we've just talked about vision, and founders, like you say, they have a vision of what they're trying to create, but sometimes when you've got co-founders and investors, it can change, right? So do you also help them with that, like, this is your solid vision, stick with this vision, and that's what's going to get you investment? Or do you help them nurture it? Or, you know, how does that work in?
Yeah, well, I'm also an active angel investor. So as this business angel, I don't only give money to the startups, I also share my know-how. And with these startups, I have very often these topics. So in the founders team, and if it doesn't work, so opt in an optimum. So I coach them and help them to build a strong founders team or management team. So
The funny thing is, you're talking about the boxing ring and Founders Fight Club, and then your other project is public art projects, which seems so opposite to the Founders Fight Club, but it's really not. I guess tell us a little bit about that. I see Laura is shaking her head. No.
Yeah. Similar challenges, I'm going to guess, but.
Well, so it is my passion to support artists in realizing large projects in public space. And what is the reason? So I love to work with artists because they always have a vision. So they are not financial driven. So they have a vision from their project and they want to realize. And artists, they have no lobby and often fail due to permits and authorities. So Laura knows from my last project. So even for me, it's hard also, but I help them. So I held Bernheimer Contemporary. It's an artist agency to realize larger art projects. So for example, last year, we organized the designwalk.art in 4 Bavarian cities. And it was a city walk along sculptures, neons, photographs with 8 artists over 2 months, with the aim of bringing people back into the city in the city center. So because of the pandemic, lots of people didn't go to the inner city. So we created these design walk. And this was one project. This was hard to realize because of all these authorities where you need permits, but we were successful and it went over 2 months. I also can explain another art project we had. It was, I think in February or March last year, it was the Burning River. And it was an action where people all over the world could enter their answer online to the question, what are you burning for? And then they could type in a platform their answer, and this answer was projected near to an illuminated river, the Isar, Munich, on a wall of a house. And it was great. So really great project.
That's really cool. I can see the connection to the vision and why this is such a passionate subject for you. We do have another question from the audience, and then I want to give you a minute to just share your final takeaways because we are running out of time. The question was, when you view startups from across the world, what's your take on Germany producing far less successful startups than the US? What's our bottleneck as a nation? Is there any response to that, or would you like to incorporate it into your takeaways?
I try. And you can help me if I miss anything. So, well, takeaway. I think one takeaway everyone should take with him today is, without vision, there's no navigation. So a vision is the path for everything. Second one is what is really important to be aware of. Growth is not a to-do, it is a process. So it needs time and you cannot delegate it. It's a process and all people must be involved in this, let me say, journey. So, and if you do this, then every transformation will be successful.
Excellent. If you do have a second to answer this, just a short opinion on why you think Germans might have a tougher time with having successful startups versus US. Otherwise, I'll take that offline and we can share it with other people afterwards. But if you did have a quick takeaway, then please do, if you have an opinion on that.
Well, I'm not sure if this is the case. So in the US, it sounds that it is easier to get funding, but there are much more startups. So it's also not so hard to get funding in Germany. So you need to explain what problem you are solving. So what is your vision and how vision on that, what do you want to do to get there? So, and there are lots of family offices and VCs and angel investors. So I think there's so much money in the market in the moment, which cannot be shared. So I think if you do it in the right way, you will get a funding.
Maybe that's exactly the right takeaway, is that you need the vision to get the funding, and therefore you'll be successful. I love that. I'm going to wrap this up because we've actually reached time. And I love this idea of, you know, find the market, then design the product, because a lot of people design the product and don't have a market. And I love your concept of getting people moving so they can be the market leaders with a strong corporate culture. So those were my takeaways. Thank you so much for joining. This video will be shared on YouTube and the audio on Spotify, and information to reach our speakers will be in the description of the YouTube. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.